If you're an esthetician wanting to learn how to treat acne better and learn how to manage acne clients, today I'm going to be interviewing Victoria, who's a 10-year esthetician who's cleared dozens of acne clients, and I'm going to be grilling her and figuring out how you guys can better treat acne and manage those clients more effectively. If you guys haven't noticed already, this is a Christmas themed podcast. I have a giant Christmas tree behind us. If you guys don't know us already, we film these podcasts in our living room. So it is homey in here, to say the least. But today, Victoria, I have some questions for you that you don't know what they are yet. I have most of them memorized. I've been thinking about these for the past few hours, and I want people to walk away from this podcast with more understanding of acne in general. And we don't want to go too much into science today. This isn't a course, but I also want them to better understand how to communicate with their acne prone clients and clients who come in with acne. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to start off with a real hard hitting question for you. You look incredibly nervous over there. But my first question is, why should I, if I'm the acne client, I'm going to be asking all these questions today as I'm the acne client, or I'm going to try to, why should I see an esthetician instead of a dermatologist?
Dermatologists and estheticians have different scopes of practice. So when I think of a dermatologist, I'm thinking of skin cancer, skin conditions, and when I think of an esthetician, I think of those who truly study skin concerns such as rosacea, acne. We go to school to, number one, understand those things, but we truly treat acne holistically versus with medication. So for me, the number one thing that I see in clinic is I've been to a dermatologist, they put me on all these medications or even topical, and my acne still isn't clearing, or maybe it put a Band-Aid on it and, their acne comes back. So for me personally, I see it as majority of dermatologists treat with medications, even Accutane, versus estheticians really treat acne holistically.
I want to ask about the Band-Aid, because I've heard that a lot in the industry, that sometimes prescriptions or I guess the dermatologists and what they prescribe are more of a Band-Aid. So like, what does that mean to you, that it's a Band-Aid compared to seeing an esthetician?
When we're dealing with acne, acne is so complex. So when we're talking about a Band-Aid on things, we're talking about medications that may slow down oil production, or it may slow down, what's going on in the skin temporarily with, number one, maybe destroying gut health or stopping that oil production a little bit. But when you're dealing with acne, it's all about controlling the breakout for a long-term solution versus you try a medication, it might help for a short bit, or you have to stay on that medication, but now you're dealing with gut health issues. You're dealing with not managing it in a long-term approach, because majority of clients, unfortunately, don't understand what acne is. And so when my clients come to me and they say, I've been to my dermatologist, or I've tried everything under the roof, it's actually crazy how uneducated, no one's ever educated them of what acne is. So there's almost this light bulb that goes off, and almost this breath of fresh air that my clients get their first visit, that they finally get information that makes sense. Because I feel like I hear majority of the time that I went to my dermatologist, I was in and out within 2 seconds. Not literally, but I was in and out within 5 minutes. I've heard this before, and they just prescribed me a medication. So for me, it's the client never felt heard, and that's, number one, they were never educated and they never felt heard. So those are the top two things that I see. And I really hope I know that there's amazing dermatologists out there, and I know that dermatologists have their expertise, of course, but the approach to a dermatologist majority of the time is going to be, here's some medication, whether it's topical or oral. And it's really sad how many really throw out Accutane. I had a client that came to me when I first started my business, and I gave her all the options, of, hey, I can treat your acne holistically. But she was like, she literally had 3 breakouts. I'm not kidding. Like 3 I could visibly see on her skin. And she said, oh, well, I think I'm going to do Accutane because that's what my dermatologist recommended. So I was like, okay, see you in 6 months.
Yeah, I know you'll be back, right?
Yeah.
So there's so many amazing things you just said. And, like we always do in these podcasts is like I'm learning in real time. And you are somebody who's constantly pursuing your education as an esthetician and trying to learn how to communicate better with clients, because you have teenage clients that come in and you have 30 and 40-year-old women who come in that are still struggling with acne as well. And then not including all the friends and family that text you all the time that are like, oh, ask Victoria. But one thing I want to stop, I have a million questions for you, but one thing I want to stop and talk about that I think is just really interesting that you just said that I've never really realized before is that the education that estheticians give to acne clients that dermatologists don't.
Yeah.
And just so everyone knows, I probably should have said this at the beginning, but we're not anti-dermatologist at all. Like we are very pro dermatology in general. We think that they're amazing providers. Those are people who prevent cancer and find things in skin really early on, and they save lives.
Yes.
Right? We are just not big fans of dermatologists treating acne specifically. But the fact that estheticians really focus on education is a really interesting and an amazing point that these small business the owners, these women who are starting this up and that are kind of like fighting this big system of dermatologists and doctors' offices. A lot of your clients that come in, they have health insurance that can cover their dermatology appointments. So estheticians are just unheard of. Like, why would I go see somebody have to pay out of pocket when my insurance will cover something? But the whole point is that dermatologists, they don't even try to say that we're educating clients on acne. That's not their thing. They're not telling people, if you come and see us, we'll give you all the education that you need. They're seeing sometimes 20 patients in a day. Yeah. And estheticians, small businesses do not do the same.
And I think that dermatologists obviously have a different model when it comes to making money. And that is respectfully, I think that it's something that people are like, okay, they hear the word dermatologist for their acne and they that's the first person that they think of. But I do also think that it's really cool that within these past 5 to 10 years that people know what an esthetician is. I remember when I first started aesthetic school, everyone always looked at me like I was a nobody because I was an esthetician. They're like, number 1, what is an esthetician? Number 2, what kind of career choice is that? Because it's like, okay, how is that going to pay your bills, right? What is an esthetician? And so I think it's really awesome that people know what an esthetician is and that they're starting to realize that there's different options. And like you said, of course, your dermatologist, it's going to be they can prescribe things and it can be covered under insurance. And I think that's like obviously a financial factor can be huge for people. And I totally understand that. The whole goal with being an esthetician is to treat your acne holistically and to give you a long-term solution. So again, the Band-Aid fix, going back to that of the medications or even, whatever they give you is a short-term solution. And yeah, it will be long-term for maybe some people if they continue to be on an antibiotic. But if you think about when we get sick, there's a reason why they have us, stop the antibiotics at 7 days, because we don't want to destroy our gut health. You don't want to kill you don't want to kill too much bacteria that's in your gut health. So, I think that there is a long-term solution when it comes to treating your acne. And that's where you're again, not bashing dermatologists. And I, again, just want to emphasize again that dermatologists are very valid. I don't think that it should be an esthetician versus dermatologist. I think that our community in the aesthetics world can get really nasty. I've seen a lot on TikTok, which I'm like, why can't we just balance each other out?
The problem is, I think it's a select really loud voices on both sides that feel like they're dictating the thought of both communities. And it's funny because we had a podcast with Michael Razanow. Is I say that correct? Anyways, but he worked for a dermatologist, and his dermatologist, literally the office that he works in, if somebody has acne, they come in, he immediately goes, go see our esthetician.
Yeah.
Right. So, and I'm sure he's not the only one in the US.
Yeah.
Right. There's probably lots of amazing dermatologists just like him, but all we see online is the very loud minority. And I think same thing with estheticians who come out and just bash dermatologists all the time, but they're so terrible and they're terrible human beings, and all they want is they're paid for. It's a loud minority of estheticians. And it's the same thing, and that's dictating, and it makes it turns into like this battlefield when it's only this small group on top that are really attacking each other.
You know what I think it is as well is that I think that every niche or every career has a specialty. So when you go into dermatologists, you think of like skin cancer, and then that, treating acne, unless you're super invested on understanding it, which obviously they understand skin, they have to, but acne is a whole beast. I mean, it takes a lot of dedication to really understand it and want to help people in a more holistic approach. And I just think it's a different approach. You can treat acne both ways, but it's a different approach. And I can consistently get people clear. It's not this, okay, let's try this, see if it works. And that's kind of the approach that I hear constantly is, okay, let's try this, see if it works. And they're like, okay, it worked for like a little bit, but you're not on the right ingredients. You're not on the right percentages for your skin. So I'm very blessed to have the resources to help my clients. And unfortunately, is something that I see constantly when people come and book that first consultation with me. But yeah.
Yeah, to wrap that up before I move on to my next question, we're sorry we're really dragging this piece out, is that I was on Accutane, and it's funny to think about when I went on Accutane, which is now I'm 30, I was around 15, so 15 years ago when I got on Accutane, I remember trying everything. So I tried Proactive, I tried every CeraVe, I tried every single face wash you could buy in the store. Of course, which is crazy now looking back, I never did, and even from the doctor, the dermatologist, never recommended me anything besides face washes, which is interesting to think about. And I know times have changed a lot, and I'd hope that dermatologists are a lot more, have even more information and more knowledge about acne that maybe they did back then, because they didn't want to get me on Accutane, which is also crazy too, is that now it feels like they hand out Accutane like candy, where anybody who walks into the office, it's like, take Accutane, no problem. Where for myself, that my dermatologist was like, this is the last resort. So we're going to try everything else under the sun until we get to the point. No, I mean, most of the stuff was over the counter. They were just like, hey, try this CeraVe cleanser instead. I did an ointment, which was probably tretinoin. I don't know. I'm assuming that was the one I did right before I got an Accutane. It was an ointment. So I don't know if there's anything else that they would give, and I'm sure they've been giving it for a long time. But yeah, so it was last resort. And like, even we went to the dermatologist, and my parents were like, well, we're thinking about getting him Proactive. I got Proactive for Christmas as my Christmas present one year. And the dermatologist said, okay, let's try that before we get on Accutane, which was cool. But it was also, it's crazy to me now to think that even the dermatologist was like, let's not do Accutane. Let's try everything else first. But yeah, and in hindsight, for myself, Accutane did clear me, right? So it cleared me. I was on Accutane for almost a year, which is absolutely terrible. I have a lot of what I now have learned are side effects from Accutane: extremely dry lips, dry eyes, which I always thought was just like a weird thing, until I learned that those are just long-term side effects from Accutane. But if I look back at myself and my parents, if there was a solution that was more, the information was out there, that was more holistic and not something where I had to take medication and get my blood taken every single month, we all would have said yes to it, right? Which I think is amazing now that those options are out there. But I just want to tell a quick story first. Do you have anything to say on that before I move on to the next question? Okay, just want to make sure I didn't cut you off. So my next question, going back into the general acne scope and moving away from dermatologists, is that if I had severe acne and I come to you and I go, I want my acne gone, can you give me what that journey looks like with you? between products and treatments. And I also, as you were explaining that, can you explain a little bit about if I was somebody who couldn't get treatment, so say I was a virtual client, kind of how that would, just a general kind of how that would all tie in together?
Yes. When I start any of my clients on my Acne Bootcamp program, I have them book that first consultation, which is where we go over the education aspect of what acne is, what's required to start the program, which I go over in the description. If you're looking to book an appointment, I do require you to invest in a whole new skincare line, and that's not for me, it's for you, so that I can guarantee those results. I require that that's the only time that I require somebody has a whole new regimen with me, is that they have to commit to their home care, because that is the most important part. So you asking about virtual and in person, I always require that you have home care, because I can get you clear either way. Now, we do in-person treatments. If you can do them, I can still get you clear again without doing in-person treatments. But I do really communicate to my clients that home care is number one. So if you can do home care, that's what I require. Number two is educating them during the consultation. That's when that light bulb goes out. And then number three, if you can do treatments, I typically do my acne treatments every 2 weeks in the beginning. So how I communicate that to my clients is I say, hey, if you want to get there quicker, I said, not that you're not going to get results, but if you want to get there quicker, I would recommend today during your consultation, we would do a prep appointment to get your skin acclimated and hydrated for the actives that you're about to start, the active ingredients that you're about to start. So prepping your skin before you start it. And then in 2 weeks, again, we're going to do our first chemical peel. So I always require you prepping your skin before our first treatment. And they are, when I educate them about during the consultation, and then I explain to them what it requires and what I would recommend, they're typically very trusting of me that they just do that first treatment and then they schedule out their first chemical peel. So I typically see my clients in the beginning every 2 weeks. This basically kickstarts your journey with me. And during our treatment, I do LED light I do the chemical peel. I do LED light therapy, sometimes high frequency. We do safe extraction. So that's what I also explain to my clients is you're going to get a good treatment while you're here, and we're going to actually speed up that process. I'm going to safely extract, those lesions that you see in the skin. And something that I personally do during my extractions is I only typically extract blackheads, so those closed comedones or whiteheads, and I leave the red angry ones alone, because I can get them really quick results when their acne is inflamed. It's if you don't know, the red inflamed ones actually clear way quicker than the non-inflamed ones. So I typically don't like to touch those because they typically unclog really fast and go away on their own. And then with the chemical peels, obviously I communicate with my clients that we're tackling PIE, PIH, which is post-inflammatory erythema or hyperpigmentation in the skin. So the red or brown marks left after the breakout. So we're focusing on pigment. We're, unclogging those pores. Luckily with the chemical peels, not only can you do extractions with them, which is huge to safely get those to the surface and get those out so that they can clear and maintain their skin, but we can also make sure that we are really maintaining the skin, focusing on a scarring pigment during the process. So after about I would say about the first 1 to 2 months, I graduate them, depending on how fast they're clearing, to just once a month. And that's plenty. Now, again, if you can't commit to both, I always tell my clients all the time, if you can just do home care, that's all that matters to me, because yes, of course, I could require my clients to come in person as well. But to me, it's not about making a quick buck. It's really, truly about what can I do to help you? Of course, especially if you've had a past traumatizing experience with a different provider. I've even had that. I've had people come to me that they're like, I saw another esthetician. I'm like, okay, the last thing I want to do is traumatize you, for me to traumatize you from a past experience. So number one, education. being very direct with your clients, but also giving them a reasonable option, because we're all human at the end of the day. If I can get you results with home care, I'm going to get you results with home care. But if I have to, and if you can do the, treatments in person, that's just like the cherry on top, right? But majority of my clients do want to get there quicker. So I see them typically every 2 weeks in the beginning. Sorry, that was a lot of information.
No, that's exactly what I wanted. It was very interesting. So I have two follow-up questions to that. Is one, just as kind of, and I've asked you this before, which I'm still just like struggling to fully understand, and maybe it's just a complicated thing, but with the peels themselves. So you mentioned that it can help with the dark spots and helping as the acne is clearing to hopefully kind of clear out the skin and not have dark spots after. But I understand extractions, or did I say extractions? I meant chemical peels. I understand extractions and LED, but with the chemical peels themselves, what are they using to actually help with the acne quicker, or is it more for PIE and PIH?
So you have your active ingredients. So you have your home care products. So you have your different percentages. You have that whole customized skincare routine at home. But when it comes to the chemical peels, just like any treatment, they are higher percentages. They contain active ingredients. For instance, the Face Reality, has TCA. It has, mandelic. It has so many different ingredients to really help target those skin concerns on a deeper level. So the way that, for instance, Face Reality peels are formulated is so that you can continue your active ingredients such as mandelic, glycolic, benzoyl peroxide as soon as the next day. Now, I always tell my clients, yes, this is how they were designed, but if for any reason you feel any dryness, irritation the next day, don't continue your active. So it's like you really have to understand you really have to understand the skin and the way that you communicate with your clients, which was kind of a side note. But yeah, essentially that these active peels are designed for you to be able to still use your active ingredients that help maintain and clear your skin. But in treatment, not only are you getting an advanced treatment with something that's going to help lighten the pigment and also unclog those pores, so something that's stronger in the treatment room versus what you can do at home. So that's where you get that, you basically speed up the process. And then, with that advancement in the treatment room with that chemical peel, they're designed where you can do extractions during treatment. So it softens the skin as well. So when I say that, I'm able to actually get out way more in the skin to decongest your pores essentially safely. And then when I'm in there, you get what you pay for. Like truthfully, you really do get an expert that can safely extract your skin versus you picking your skin at home, causing more scarring, more pigment in the skin, and then doing some, high frequency in the skin. So that's helping killing that bacteria. And then red and LED light therapy. Obviously I have a professional panel, so you can't do that at home. So I emphasize, I communicate with my clients, hey, the red light is going to help calm down that inflammation, that redness, and help heal the skin. And the blue is going to help kill that bacteria. So again, just really making sure that we're communicating with our clients of what the treatments are doing and why the home care really complements the whole process.
Yeah. So are you saying some of the ingredients in the peel are similar or the same of what you're using at home, but stronger? Or they're all different?
No. So you for instance, you're not using TCA at home.
So with that being said, the reason why you do those in person instead of letting a client do those at home is because it could be too dangerous for a client.
I would never ever have a client do a chemical peel at home by themselves.
But that's why I'm asking. Is like I'm trying to figure out, right? Like
so
remember I'm asking as a dummy here, right? So remember that
I've never had any client be like, "Can I just do it at home?"
They
typically just do it at home if they're going to be a DIY.
And I get that, but I'm just trying to fully understand, and I want estheticians to understand too, so they can better explain to clients because some clients do have that pushback.
Yeah.
Right?
So the way that I explain it all the time is that with chemical peels, you're dealing, just listen to the name, chemical peels, right? Chemical peel. Face Reality has no downtime chemical peels, which is beautiful, but there is a reason why you leave it to the professionals. I just had another client the other day that was hilarious. She's like, hey, I just had to let you know, I have to confess something. There's this girl that's an esthetician at my work, and she was running a special. She was running a dermaplane special. I went to her. She cut my face. I was crying during the appointment. And in that moment, I said, I'm never going to cheat on Victoria ever again. And I was like, she like had openly admitted it to me. And I was dying because she was like, yep, from then on out, like I was like, nope, this is why I don't ever go to anybody else but Victoria. And not to toot my own horn, but you really do get what you pay for with a professional. So you're really getting somebody that understands the skin, understands the ingredients, that's going to safely treat your skin. So you're not getting somebody that is going to basically DIY your face.
Yeah.
You're getting somebody that understands the chemical peel. So for instance, with Face Reality, your first appointment, I'll do, let's say, one pass of the chemical peel on your skin. And I gradually increase the percentages. And so what you get during a treatment with me is customization and a safe treatment. Yeah. And I think that's the biggest thing. And you're really speeding up the process, number one, but you're also getting a safe treatment, and you're also getting safe extractions, because I guarantee you, and I've seen it over again, I have clients all the time that try to pick their skin, even if it is a blackhead, and they end up coming to me and they're like, I'm so sorry, I picked my skin. I have a scar now. Yeah. So you're getting a safe treatment. You're getting somebody who knows what they're doing and who went to school and is a professional.
Yeah. So just one more time, just to dumb it down a lot, is that even with these very simple, no downtime peels, it does not mean you're just rubbing a product across the face, right?
No.
Like they're still... They can be dangerous peels, right?
Mm-hmm.
They can be downtime peels in a dangerous way.
I know plenty of estheticians that they say, I see it on Facebook all the time. Things can go wrong very quickly. So I think that's the biggest thing, is even though they are no downtime peels, you can still frost from any chemical peel. You can essentially, if somebody comes in with a damaged skin barrier, or they're using retinol, like there's so many different factors to performing a chemical peel, even if it's no downtime, that you can still damage someone's skin. So you really have to be careful. When I say no downtime, it is for the convenience of the client, for them to maintain their skin, for them to clear their skin, and for them to not have any for them to not backpedal with their progress.
Yep. Okay. I completely understand it. I know those seem like silly questions to you, but I want to fully, and I know most estheticians fully understand this already.
Trust me. I hear a lot of questions.
Okay. So the next question I have is that you talk about home care a lot. So I want to know kind of and I know this is where it gets really complicated. I know every client is very different, but if you kind of had a general, and we'll go with kind of Face Reality and Mexi is what the main acne lines that you carry. If you had to look at, let's say, the majority of clients that you send home with, what is a typical routine? And let's go kind of on a lighter end. Let's look at somebody who, maybe is a younger adult, maybe not quite high school boy, because I know you try to really slim those down for them, but maybe a younger adult that's not ready for a giant, robust skin routine yet. But a routine that you could go, if I give you this, and like I said, I know kind of generally, if you're watching this is not going to clear your acne clients. But like, what does that general routine kind of look like?
Number one is going to be hydration. So the foundation of healthy skin is hydrated skin. So something that I always make sure that if somebody comes to me and I know that they need to be on actives, but at the same time I know that their skin might not be ready for it, I always want to make sure hydration is the number one thing that I look for. So if your skin is dehydrated, I will not start you on actives. So sometimes, when my clients book that first acne boot camp consultation, I will strictly just put them on I will strictly just put them on a hydrating basic home care routine. So that looks like a cleanser, maybe a toner, a hydrator such as Hydro Balance or even Dewdrops, and then a moisturizer that's going to lock that in, and of course sunscreen. Now, when we're dealing with the basics of skincare, I don't always send somebody on a toner. So I will say that. It really depends on the client. I would prefer my clients to be on a toner, when you're dealing with acne and really hydrating the skin. But if somebody's more oily, or if you're dealing with a teen client, you have to keep that in mind that a huge routine can be so overwhelming for a client. And I've gotten dozens of clients clear, specifically boys, by simplifying their routine. So don't obsess over the rule book. Don't think, oh my gosh, the protocol says cleanse, tone, hydrate, acne med, all these things. So you really have to look at the case by case and look what is doable for your client and still getting them the best results. So again, hydration in the skin is really important. So maybe take out the toner and keep them on their hydrator, right? The Hydro Balance Dewdrops. You can still hydrate the skin without making it overcomplicated for your client. Now, the second thing, can you ask your question again?
No, so you got that first step. So let's say, because you explained very well of what you would do, kind of like really basically of hydration being the most important step. So then the second step would be adding an active.
Okay.
So if it's not a teen client, if it's somebody without compromised skin, which actives are you including then?
Okay, so number 1, mandelic. Number 2, benzoyl peroxide. The biggest complaint that I hear about benzoyl peroxide specifically is, oh my goodness, it dried out my skin. But the thing that they're missing is the hydration. So the majority of the time, people overuse benzoyl peroxide, or they're using a different product. They're using, a drugstore product. And I think the beauty about what lines that I carry is that I can really customize the percentage of actives. So when we're dealing with a 2.5% or versus a 5%, I can really customize that routine versus somebody that just picked up a drugstore product and they said, oh, I tried benzoyl peroxide and it didn't work. It dried out my skin. My skin was angry and irritated. And I can't tell you how many times that I've been able to clear somebody of them using benzoyl peroxide with the right percentage. So it's all about the products that you use. And that's why I emphasize customization, because I can look at somebody's skin and say, oh, heck no, you could not tolerate a 5%. So it's really all about the way that you use the products, the ingredients. But the number one thing, again, I look at hydration in the skin and the percentages. Now, the third thing I guess I want to mention is that mandelic is one of my favorite skincare ingredients. Mandelic, I always say, is like that all-in-one ingredient that helps target so many different skincare concerns. And that's also another thing that I tell my clients, and their faces light up because they're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to tackle my breakouts, my scarring, my pigment, my texture. Mandelic is so amazing. So when we're looking at different, which I don't explain this to my clients because they're like, what? But so there's different, there's larger molecules, there's smaller molecules. So when we're dealing with mandelic, the reason why it's so magical is because it has a larger molecule. So what that means is that it actually penetrates the pore slower. So you're still going to get those amazing results. But if you think about it, you're having a larger molecule. So it's like slowly penetrating into the pores while giving that great results versus a glycolic. It's like a bomb, right? It's a smaller molecule. So it's going to hit the pore. And yes, you may get like extreme purging right away, or it just, really just gets in there. And which, if you have a non-inflamed client that has super stubborn pores, mandelic might not be strong enough. So that's when you would revert to glycolic, for instance. So again, customization, it goes back to what you're seeing in the skin, how the skin's reacting. Acne is not a one size fits all, but majority of the time, I will say the two magic ingredients for treating acne is number 1, percentages, and number 2, mandelic, and then benzoyl peroxide. Mandelic really helps to target, those breakouts, but it also helps with the non-inflamed. It helps with tone, texture, so any pigment in the skin, acne scarring. My clients just see such a big improvement with that. And then of course, benzoyl peroxide helps to kill that bacteria, really gets in that pore. But again, going back to hydration in the skin, the foundation to healthy skin is hydrated skin. So no matter what, you just really got to pay attention to that and the percentages that you put your clients on.
Awesome. I have one question and then one fun comment or story. So my first question is, you were talking about Drugstore a lot, and when it comes to percentages, when purchasing at Drugstore, and I just want to be like kind of fully clear here. Can you buy higher percentages of certain actives at a drugstore than you even sell?
No.
So do you typically have the highest percentage of a mandelic or benzoyl or glycolic, or could somebody potentially go to the drugstore and buy a higher percentage of those products?
So typically with the home care products that I carry, there's different percentages specifically. So it's that pure ingredient of mandelic, for instance, versus, a wash, which it's not technically pure because there's different ingredients, but there's, essentially, when you go to the drugstore, it may say like 2.5% benzoyl peroxide or whatever it is. So it's typically like mixed in with face washes. It's not like a true like treatment cream that you're getting. The only way that not the only, but like the biggest thing that I see in this industry is that you're either on a specific percentage of an ingredient or you're prescribed, tretinoin or that percentage of the skin or of all these active ingredients. So yeah.
I just asked because, you mentioned about clients being potentially like on, say, like benzoyl peroxide is drying them out. And the reason why I asked that is like, can they go to the drugstore and buy a higher benzoyl peroxide than what you would recommend?
No. So
if it's drying them out, it's because they're just using too much of it, basically.
Yeah, or they have like, something that I commonly see is that they're using a benzoyl peroxide wash every single day.
Oh, so they're just using it way too often.
Yeah.
So let's say even if it's a lower percentage than what you have, they're just using it 7 times.
Yes, and truly it's like all about the formulation. So you may have, a product that has, active ingredients, but it combats it with hydrating ingredients. Like for instance, Alpha Ret from Skin Better, it has, that retinoid technology with lactic acid. And so it's really going to help hydrate the skin and deliver. So it truly is all about that formulation of the skincare product that's going to help deliver those results in a healthy way for your skin to be able to tell it.
So it can still really penetrate, but then be easier on you.
But I do think, again, going back to the importance of customization of the skin is the most important part in quality of ingredients, the formulations, and having a good esthetician that truly cares about your skin.
I'd say the quality of ingredients is a really interesting thing too, is that what's really cool about our industry is that it's gotten so big now, and it has some amazing kind of key, leaders when it comes to products, is that it kind of pushes the whole industry forward to make amazing ingredient forward products, where when you look at what's at the store is, a lot of their money and a lot of what they're doing is pushed towards marketing rather than it is amazing products, right? Like CeraVe doesn't need to sell you that their formulation is better. They just need to get in front of your face more than Cetaphil, right? All they need to do is have better product placement in Target than Cetaphil, and they win the buyer. Compared to the aesthetic industry, is that if you as an esthetician who's going to sell a bunch of products to clients, you're going to try both. And if you don't get results from one, you don't bring them back. And it's not about them being in front of your face more. It's the fact that you try both and go, my skin and my client's skin doesn't feel good after using this, compared to the big brands at a box office.
And if you think about it, to the average person, CeraVe, all these major brands are just thrown in our faces. Every single person knows CeraVe. They know, every single drugstore product essentially. Now, Face Reality, for instance, or all these, or even Mixi Skincare, these are brands that it took a long time for people to understand who they were, to get in front of people's faces. And it has been a more long-term process versus these brands who obviously can mass produce products. They have, commercials on TV. There's so many different, I feel like there's just been so much, it's a different marketing.
Yeah. It's almost like they spend more time on ingredients and formulations than they do on marketing, which I think, you could look at every industry.
And the integrity of your brand and creating, again, that long-term solution for.
And that's across every industry.
Yeah.
It's in the movie industry, it's in furniture, it's in everything that we can imagine. Okay, so the next quick funny story I want to ask, or I want to say before I ask my next question, when you talk about Mandelic so much, I go back to, it's been, 2 years or 3 years ago now, is that when you were learning a lot from Acne Maddie and you were just consuming all of Acne Maddie's acne content on Instagram and everything you could learn from her when you first were learning face reality. And I remember you always watching her lives. She'd go on, and not super often, but anytime you caught her on live, you were really sucked in, and I'm sucked into learning all that with you. And I remember a specific live that she was answering a bunch of questions, and every time somebody would ask a question, she would go, "Oh, I'd recommend Mandelic." They go, "What is the best solution? What's the best product for this?" And she'd say Mandelic over and over and over again. It eventually got to a point where somebody asked a question, I'd go, Mandelic. And then we goof around about it. We were laughing
Chris
about it.
knew
And thought
the
it was,
answer before.
yeah, we thought it was so funny. And at the time, this is early in the face reality days where you weren't fully, you weren't treating a bunch of acne clients at the time. So you were still learning and thought it was funny as well until you really dove in and fully understood the ingredient and were able to treat a bunch of clients with it.
Yeah.
And then the joke became not so funny anymore because Mandelic really was the answer to most things. And I've used Mandelic a lot myself, and I love the product as well. It's one of the only actives I consistently use. But I thought it just is so funny is that when we look back at it, it just felt so funny to us. Like, why did she keep saying Mandelic for every single thing? And now it's one of your top selling products, right? It's one of the products that you can recommend to anti-aging, to acne, to just somebody who wants a skincare routine.
It's hilarious. Mandelic is my probably... Yeah, no, it is. Consistently every single month, I'd say it's like the first or second most popular product that I sell. Everybody always needs their Mandelic, and it's one of those products that people run out of faster. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to order like so many Mandelics this month.
Yeah, keep the Mandelics on deck.
Yeah.
Okay, so another question I have that I think is going to be a little bit trickier. I got another one I'm going to spring on you and make it a little bit more difficult. And it's something I think could be really fun for estheticians to hear and understand and learn from, is that, and you haven't been doing this a ton, but I do think that's something that has stumped you before. If you're with a client for, let's say, 4 or 5 months and you're really struggling to clear their acne, what are the steps that you're doing, from education that you're pursuing, from, and I know not everybody can use some of the mentors that you have, but like, what are the steps that you go through when you're hitting a wall with a client? Because most clients, you typically clear clients in 3 to 4 months, correct? Okay, so then when you get to that 5 and 6 months and it's just really stubborn and you're not moving, what are the steps that you take communicating with clients? And then what are the steps that you take outside of the treatment room as an esthetician, as a provider, to figure that out?
Okay, so I got really, it's so funny. So I consistently was clearing all my clients, and I, finally got my first, I'll never forget, I finally got my first client where I was stumped and I was like, oh my gosh, they're not clearing. It's been 5 months, and they were getting progress, but it wasn't as drastic as the previous clients that I had constantly been, clearing. And I was like, man, I got this down. And I was like, oh, really? What the heck? Like, of course there's this one client that I, which is good though, because it really does help push you out of your comfort zone. But the one thing that I have learned is that not everybody's going to clear in that 3 to 4 month time frame, or even sooner, depending on the severity of the acne. But sometimes you really need to realize that not everybody's going to clear at that rate, and some people are going to take longer, and they may need to do some more purging, unfortunately, than the average person. So for instance, I had this one client that was at that 5 month mark, and I'm like, what the heck? She's not clearing. But looking back, she had so much non-inflamed acne under the skin that it made so much sense why that had to come to the surface. And I was so used to, even if they had that non-inflamed acne, that, oh my gosh, that I can still get them clear pretty fast. But if your client has that super non-inflamed acne, you really have to communicate with your clients that, hey, you're getting great progress, but I want to switch you to this ingredient. Let's see how this works for your skin, because every skin type is different. And I want to make sure that you are, we're getting you the best results. So for me, it's communication with my clients, reassuring them in that moment that we're going to get them. They're, reassuring them that they're getting those good results, because they are getting results. They're just not getting them as fast. So just, making them feel good, giving them that confidence, really encouraging them, hey, your skin's looking great. But yeah, I think that you have to realize that non-inflamed acne takes so much longer to clear than inflamed. Inflamed will always clear way faster. So you have to communicate with the clients that, hey, this unfortunately has to come to the surface eventually, and this product is what's going to help get you clear and get you to that point. So again, just communicating with your clients in a loving and uplifting way. You can't go to your clients and say like, hey, I'm really not sure why your acne is not clearing, but I'm going to try this product. Let's see how it does. And just let me know. You really have to speak with confidence with your clients and tell them, hey, you're getting great results. I'm going to put you on this percentage. Your skin is, again, looking great, but let's try this product and see, make sure that we are acclimating your skin to the product as well and getting you to those great results. So confidence is a huge thing with your clients.
Yep. And then what are you personally doing if, let's say, let's say you try that new percentage and you're still hitting a wall. What are you personally doing to go and find more answers as an esthetician?
So for me, I have a few mentors in the space that I will always reach out to. So for me, her name's Karen Marie. She is somebody that I constantly am asking questions to. So finding a mentor in the space that you feel comfortable with, that you align with, making sure that you have somebody in the aesthetics industry that can really help guide you through the process. Because we've all been there before as estheticians. We can be the most amazing esthetician, but there's always going to be that one case that you're stumped upon. So finding those resources, finding that, one or two estheticians in the space, you don't need a million resources. You just need 1 to 3 reliable resources. So making sure that you have somebody that you can really reach out to during those hard times, because you are going to have, times where you're confused as an esthetician and you need to think outside of the box or think of things that you never thought of before. So having a mentor in the space is really important.
Yeah, I want to break the story that we've been playing is going back to business-minded Chris. If you're an esthetician and you are trying to find a mentor and you're hearing this and go, that's what I need, that's what I want so bad, just remember that you need to provide value to somebody else as well. And even Victoria, with this mentor that she has, this mentor that Victoria has still calls Victoria and asks her questions about things, if it's business, if it's marketing, or even skin as well. And I think that, we've talked about this in the past, and I know
thoughts of new products.
Yeah, in general. And she trusts that you will dive in and do research and think about things outside the box as well. And I think sometimes it feels easy to go find a mentor. And estheticians are like, well, I've DM'd 10 estheticians that have 50, 100,000 followers and they don't respond, or we haven't really connected. And it's, you also need to provide value to somebody to be mentored, right?
Yeah.
And eventually you will be the mentor and mentee somebody else. And as a busy business owner and as an esthetician in your sake, you need to connect with somebody who understands that timing is difficult, but also somebody that you provide value to and they provide value to you. Mm-hmm. And it's funny that, we call Karen Marie your esthetician mentor, but she's called you up plenty times late at night and going, what do I do in this situation? And sometimes it's just in life and it's as a friend.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's somebody for her just to talk through what's on her mind. And she feels really comfortable that she's not even asking you for advice, but just like wants to get something out of like a client she's struggling with, and just wants that kind of, somebody to absorb it all.
And it's funny because sometimes you just need to let it out. I can't tell you how many times that for instance, she's known the answer and I can just reassure her in that moment, or I have doubts in my mind and she's reassuring me. So we're only human that we overthink things. It's so funny because, as estheticians, at least me, I think about, it's like 12 a.m. and I'm thinking about my client's skin that I just did a chemical peel on. I, just did the perfect derma peel on one of my clients. And I was up at 2 a.m. actually the other night when I woke you up and I'm like, I wonder how her skin's doing. I'm like, has she started peeling yet? So like as estheticians, we really care about our clients. We're always thinking about them. And sometimes, again, just going back, you need that reassurance and having somebody in your ear that can help you and guide you, even though you may know the answer.
Yeah. I think, hearing what you say, I think that final answer for that is, if you're struggling with somebody, is for one, to be competent also. Be confident in your skills as an esthetician. Be confident in the information that you have. There's amazing information always on the internet, between YouTube and Instagram and podcasts everywhere, that you shouldn't really get backed into a corner. Oh, hold on. I know you got excited. Write that down. I know you can get backed into a corner sometimes in hard situations. But I do believe one of the best answers to always being confident is to constantly be gaining information about your industry and your skills on a daily and a weekly basis, so that and the reason why I can't get an answer out of you for this is because you're not backed into a corner and go, I can't clear somebody, let me go take a course. Like, you're taking courses actively in the times where there's no issues. You're constantly talking to estheticians, between your mentor and other fellow estheticians on a daily and weekly basis, so that when you do hit that wall, you don't need to run frantically for answers. You can kind of fall back on, I've been learning over the past 6 months and I'm going to figure this out.
Yeah. So there's two things that I want to talk about. So number one, if you're struggling with a client that you can't clear, don't revert to, I need to up the percentage in my clients. I think that's a big one that I see people do, and then their client skin goes even more backwards. So being very mindful. Yes, there are certain situations where you need to up percentages, but if somebody's not clearing, like something that I see, I'm like, okay, they're using, Mandelic, let's say, or glycolic 2 times a day, or whatever it is. Do I need to back them back down? Do I need to back them up? Like, do I need to up them in percentages? Is their skin barrier healthy? So like, don't just revert to that as number one. Sometimes switching the skincare ingredient can really help to transform their skin. Everybody's skin clears differently, and different ingredients can work better for certain clients. So just keep that in mind. And then number two is going back to like clients that you're having a really hard time clearing. I personally don't obsess over my clients' diets. I think that there are certain clients that have like their skin responds to certain foods. So like I have plenty of clients that are like, oh my gosh, I ate a bunch of dairy, my skin's freaking out. And that's what your body responds to, with that inflammation in your skin. So like your clients know what their triggers are. So yes, of course, like I could tell my clients, like, here's a list of foods that, may cause inflammation in the skin and that your skin might, respond to. But like majority of my clients know that already, right? So number one is don't obsess over that, but also be mindful of it. And then the third thing is that like if certain clients have like true conditions, I have this one client, she has I always butcher the name, endometriosis, and it truly affects her skin so much. We're able to get her great results, but we're just managing her breakouts for we're just managing her breakouts and helping her maintain her skin. And yes, her skin isn't perfect, but she is, we're helping still manage her acne holistic. That's one client that I can like specifically think of where I'm like, okay, she truly does have like a condition that is affecting her skin. And, we're managing her skin. I can't even imagine if we weren't on active products, what her skin would be like, but also being mindful that, we are still helping manage her skin at the end of the day.
Yeah, I love that idea of managing somebody's skin, because I think about some of your biggest, I don't want to call them headaches, but headache skin clients. Yeah. And I think about clients who've been going through the EVF process before with their hormones. What is it? IVF?
Yes.
There you go. You got me. If you understood, they understood. What's EVF? I just made that up right now. I don't even know what IVF stands for. Do you know?
Stop.
No, you don't know either. Okay, wait, so clients who are on, I just want to, infertility. Okay, you might be right. Okay, you Google it. But clients who are going through IVF, the food is a big one, a very interesting one as well. Did you find it?
Stop. Keep talking.
Yeah, but you're not paying attention when I'm talking, so I have to wait for you to be done because I want to know. Just look up IVF. You should have just asked ChatGPT at this point.
Why isn't it? It literally inverto fertilization.
Okay. We wouldn't have known either way.
I just think of IVF as like a word.
Yeah, I agree. So I think with that, I was thinking about clients who've been going through like really stressful life situations too, that you've more just been managing for them. Mm-hmm. And it's hard to fully clear somebody when they're going through a lot and they're fully aware, which I think is an amazing thing too.
My clients break out when they're stressed.
Yeah. Yeah. And you see it often and they come and talk to you about it as well. But I think that's what's a beautiful thing about an esthetician is that, if you're not, and I think your best clients, your really good clients, they fully understand that you're not some kind of witch doctor who can just magically heal their skin, but they do feel that management. Mm-hmm. They do feel that when I come and I'm seeing Victoria and I'm on all my products, it feels managed. Yeah. It doesn't feel as chaotic as life may feel.
And I will say that's one of the biggest factors that I include in my consultations is I set clear expectations and I let my clients know I'm going to help clear you and maintain and manage your acne, but it's not like you're never going to get a breakout ever again. And so I make that very clear to my clients. So I'm like, okay, we're going to get you clear and maintain it, but we're human. I get breakouts too. You can't have these expectations of social media of clear glass skin. It's again, I get breakouts. I just had a huge cystic breakout on my chin. Like, we're human. And I think it's just really important to set those clear expectations. I always say, what is it? Sorry. I sound stupid.
Okay, never mind.
Wait, overpromise? No.
Under-deliver?
Yes, I was going to say under-deliver and over-promise. Wait.
No, you got opposite still.
Over-deliver and under-promise?
Over-deliver
and under-promise. Yes. No, okay, that's what I was saying. Under-promise and over-deliver.
There you go. You got it. That's what you do. And I think
but then when I was like thinking in my brain, I was like, over-delivering. I don't want to over-deliver. No, you're like under-promising.
Too much acne
but
to somebody.
When you're like under-promising and they get the best of the results, you're over-delivering and you're like, okay.
Yeah, and I like that. I like that managing acne, and I think that's where your clients feel so comfortable. And I
used to use the word clear, and I'm like, we're going to get you clear skin, but it's all about the way that you communicate with your acne clients. It's okay to over-explain than to under-explain, and I think that when you're just clear, direct, and honest with your acne clients, setting those expectations at that first appointment is so important.
Yeah. And I don't think everybody has some crazy expectation that they need to have clear or quote unquote perfect skin. I think most normal people are just, they want it to
do anything to have like clear skin or get any progress.
Yeah, they want it to be they just don't want to feel like the acne is controlling them. And I think that's the biggest thing is everybody wants clear skin, but like myself, when I had really bad acne, I wasn't looking for perfect skin. I just wanted to feel in control. And I think that's what's amazing about estheticians like yourself that are educating and are along the journey with people is that they can finally feel in control of their skin, where if they go, I know that if I eat this cheese pizza tonight, I might have some breakouts in the morning, but they fully understand, and they fully understand that if they have that cheese pizza and they get some breakouts, they know how to manage again.
Yeah.
And I think that's the most beautiful thing. It's like us on our nutrition journey, or when we drink alcohol, we have done enough education and enough research to fully understand how to get back on track. And I don't think everybody who's struggling with acne knows how to get back on track. They feel just overwhelmed and scared and frustrated. So to wrap that up there, if you guys have more questions about this very complicated, in-depth topic, comment down below, send us a DM on one of our platforms. If it's Instagram and Skin by You or Optimize Aesthetic on Instagram, we can dive deeper in this. We've talked a lot about this, and I know you have a lot more to say. But if you've listened this far into the podcast, comment acne so we know you're dove in, you're in there with us. This is, I don't know what time it is now. It's 9 o'clock at night.
10.
We're 10 o'clock at night. We're deep into this. I don't know why I looked at my watch and then just made up a time. That was crazy of me to do. But we're deep into this topic. The last thing I want to say is this podcast is sponsored by Optimize Aesthetics, which is an amazing platform, amazing community for esthetician. We are the biggest resource in the industry for estheticians. We have a Patreon that has over 150 videos now, and even just general posts where Victoria dives deep on acne clients, the exact products you use, the timeline it was. On top of that, we also have videos on how we shoot content, how we create content, how we build a clientele, everything. Sorry, you want to jump in there?
No, I was just going to say that I just posted on my Patreon a whole transformation, the case study, the products that I use. So if you have any questions, comment below or join our Patreon. But yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was valuable and filled with so much impactful information. I drank too much water, so I'm gonna run. But thank you guys so much. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you in the next video.